welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are doing the first part of my craft fair series. This is where I show you how I create a lot of things that I will be using for my craft fairs this year. I only do about 4 craft fairs a year, just because that's just what I do. But I wanted to show you some of the things that I create and kind of the process behind it. So today's video was actually inspired by something I saw at Dollar Tree. It had a little mini calendar in the top and then like a notepad at the bottom. I have a stamp from MayMay Made It Crafts, and it is a perpetual calendar. And so I went ahead and stamped out the calendar for 2024, and I took some glue and glued those together with some chipboard or some like scrap cardstock at the top, at the front and the back, just so that it protects the actual calendar itself. I used a nesting rectangle die to cut it out, and I actually like scanned it into my printer and then was able to make multiple copies, so I didn't have to stamp out 6, 12 times 6, whatever number that is, because I'm making 6 of these. So that was just a really quick way for me to make these tiny calendars very easily. One of the things that I know that Waffle Flower Crafts actually has little calendars. They're even smaller than the ones I have here. But if you don't have a perpetual calendar, you don't want to mess with that, fool with that, that's absolutely fine. Waffle Flower, and you can even find them on Amazon. So I have some Paper Studio cardstock, designer series paper here. That is, I use several varieties in the crafts I make today. I have some grommets that I got from Amazon and probably Paper Studio. I have some medium weight or some lightweight chipboard, and then I have these writing tablets from Dollar Tree. They used to come 5 to a pack. Now they come 3 to a pack. But I think you're still getting the same amount of paper. I think you're just not getting as much like chipboard. As many notebooks, but you're still getting the same amount of paper in the notebook. I hope that makes sense. So I just peeled one off, and then I put some double stick tape on the back of this piece of chipboard. Like I said, this is lightweight chipboard. You could use medium weight, heavyweight. You could stack cereal boxes together, however you wanted to do that. This chipboard measures 4.5 by 10, and the designer series paper here measures 6 by 12. That just gives me plenty of room to wrap this around the chipboard. So the back of the inspiration from Dollar Tree actually was a fridge magnet. And I initially do that on this one. I didn't like it. And the magnets I have are not strong enough to hold this on the fridge. And I was going to put a string so you could hang it also. And I just decided after I did the magnet that I didn't like it anyway. So this one I do show you the option for a magnet. I just have some magnetic sheets that I purchased off of Amazon, and I cut those down. So you can do that, but as I did it, I was like, I don't really like that. So I only do that on this one. I don't do it on any of the other 5 that I create. So what you saw me do is take my cardstock and just kind of wrap it around and kind of fold the cardstock around, and then I trim off at an angle the corners just to give myself a little less bulk there. Then I'm going to take liquid glue and my bone folder and just kind of burnish this down. If you are using a lighter weight paper, maybe a paper that has more of the consistency of like copy paper, I would recommend using a dry adhesive for this part, not a liquid. If you have a paper that has a tendency to want to crack, something to help minimize that cracking is to run a stylus along the edges of your cardboard and dig it into the cardstock. That will help minimize. It may not alleviate or take the cracking completely away, but it may help alleviate it. So I go around and just try to square off the edges of that cardstock around that chipboard, and I just use the side of my bone folder to do that. This is going to be the back, and this is the liner. This liner measures 4 by 9.5, so just a 1/2 inch shorter on both sides, length and height, or width and height, excuse me. And I just use my liquid glue to adhere this down. This is not like incredibly thick cardstock, but it is thicker than like a copy paper. So I use wet glue for this part. Excuse me. I use my paper towel to kind of wipe off any excess glue that may squeege out. And then I'm going to take my bone folder and really burnish that down and go ahead and continue to get rid of any excess glue that squeezes out. Like I said, I only do about 4 craft fairs a year. That's just kind of where I'm willing to travel. What I have found are some of the better ones for what I sell. I will tell you what I price these at, but you can definitely price them however you wish. Maybe you got paper for less expensive. Actually, I probably won't tell you what I charge, because that's kind of up to you. So here, I'm just trying to kind of get my spacing right to see where I need to put the envelope, where I need to put, not the envelope, oh boy, I guess you could put an envelope on here, but where I put the notebook and where I'm going to put the calendar, because I am going to put a hole for like a ribbon to go through, so you could hang this if you wanted to, and it gives it just a little extra something, a little more fancy, I guess you could say. I have my We Are Memory Keepers, not corner chomper. What is this called? I don't remember what this is called, y'all, but I purchased this off of Amazon forevers ago, but you can find it at most craft stores and online. So I'm going to use the bigger hole, which is the 1/4 inch, and I'm going to just punch a hole in the top center. You could measure this and get it very precise, but I'm just going to kind of eyeball it where I kind of want the hole to go, where I feel like the center is, and then how far down I want it to go. I don't want it super close to the top, just because I don't want to run the risk of it like ripping out of there, which this isn't incredibly heavy, but I mean, there is a little bit of weight to it. And so I am going to put a grommet in there, again, just to kind of give it a more complete and professional look. But it'll look nicer if it's down just a little bit and not quite so close to the top. And what's nice about this thing is it has a like measurer on there, so that you don't have to like, you can get it in this your hole in the same spot every time. So here are these grommets and eyelets and brads and stuff that I have. Again, these are a combination of Paper Studio and probably from Amazon. And I'm just going to use this to set this grommet. I picked colors that I felt complemented my paper, and then I also picked ribbon that I felt complemented my paper. My ribbon for my projects today either comes from Dollar Tree or from Hobby Lobby. So the one for this particular project does come from Hobby Lobby. I was trying to find its name. It doesn't have a name on there, but I usually purchase my ribbon and stuff when it goes on sale for 40% off or half off, because I'm cheap and I don't want to pay full price for something like ribbon. So I just cut off probably, I don't know, between 6 and 9 inches or so, probably 7 to 9 inches. I didn't measure. I just kind of winged it and looked what I thought, cut off what I thought would look nice. And I'm going to loop it together. I'm going to bring the two loose ends together, and then I'm going to feed that tight end, or the unloose end, through the front of that and pull it through. It's easier just to watch me. I feel like when I explain it, I make it more confusing. So I'm just making a little loop to hold this. And I'm going to take a lighter and I'm going to burn the ends just so that these ribbon don't fray. And I do that even with my Dollar Tree ribbon. Dollar Tree is a phenomenal place to get ribbon. They have varying widths. They have a decent color selection, at least for my projects. I'm kind of a, I don't want to say bland crafter when it comes to that, but they do have a decent selection of ribbon, I feel. And you get like 9 feet, which is a pretty good length for a paper crafter and crafter items. So for me, this is a one and done. So what I mean by that is you could make this refillable. You absolutely could, but I chose not to. If you wanted to make it refillable, you can make like a paper loop that you can stick your notepad in. That is definitely an option. So for here, my glue that I used some Tombow glue. When it dries sticky. And so to get rid of that stick, first off, I peeled off the scrap cardstock that was on the front. And then I left the one that was on the back. And that is how I'm going to actually adhere that to my project here. But in order to get rid of the stick that is on the end of this calendar, because this is going to be a peel off calendar, I just take my embossing powder and rub it across there, and I end up kind of tapping it onto this scrap piece here, just so that I can kind of pounce it in and make sure I truly am getting rid of all of that stick. Putting a piece of scrap cardstock on the front and the back, or a piece of scrap paper on the front and the back, helps protect your project so you don't have to deal with adhesive where you don't want it. Or end up having to waste, a piece of paper on the front and the back just because your glue went bananas. So once I have that, I do trim off the long ends of that. And then I'm going to apply, again, just liquid adhesive to that scrap piece of cardstock. And like I said, this is a scrap, so I do go and check and make sure that there isn't any like pencil or pen or stamping or anything like that on the one side, just because I don't want to give someone something that doesn't look done and professional. And my daughter, my 2-year-old, likes to come up and stamp with me. That's what she calls it. She stamps with me. Really, it amounts to her making a huge mess, but that's okay. So I'm going to show you me putting a magnet on there. Again, I didn't like how that looked, so I don't do that to the rest of them, but that is an option. Just make sure you have a magnet that is strong enough to hold everything up. So that is it for me. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. I hope you feel inspired. You can find inspiration anywhere. Like I said, my inspiration came from Dollar Tree today. So, like I said, I hope you have a great day, and I appreciate you, and we will see you next time. Bye.